All right, Producer Joe, can you please employ the Nunes translator?
Initiating Nunes translator, Den.
Thank you, sir. So yesterday, you probably heard it, you probably saw it. The Senate Intelligence Committee, which has been an absolute disgrace and a disaster. Mark Warner, you know him, the Democrat senator from Virginia, who was texting a lawyer for a Russian oligarch connected to Putin, trying to contact dossier author Christopher Steele. That Mark Warner, he's on the Senate Intel Committee. Yeah, you know who's leading the Senate Intel Committee right now, Joe? Which I'm sure has nothing to do with the release of this report right now. Look, squirrel. Richard Burr. Yes, Republican, but awful senator from North Carolina, Richard Burr. An atrocious.
Lovely.
I mean, this guy's not even a rhino. This is like a sino, a senator in name only, because the man has no character at all. Richard Burr's the same guy under investigation right now. And he asked for the, which is fair enough, for some allegedly suspicious stock trades he made on information about the Wuhan virus. Same guy, Richard Burr. The guy's been a disaster from the start. So a report emanated like a stench, like an overpowering stench out of this disastrous committee full of leaks. Remember the staffer, by the way, James Wolfe, who was arrested on charges related to leaks that came from the Senate Intel Committee? Yeah, this is the same committee. They released a report yesterday, Joe. Yes, wow, and the media jumped on it. We now have proof. The intelligence community assessment, that report the Obama administration released after the election where Trump beat Hillary, that the Russians wanted to help help Trump. That report, we showed this was real. The Russians really did want to help Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, this is garbage. That is not what the report said. The report was written by a bunch of hacks. So let's go through what's actually in it. But first, I want to tell you what's really going on here. The ICA, I'll be referencing that throughout this segment, is the Intelligence Community Assessment, the abbreviation for the report I just referenced, written by the Obama administration after the election, which said, remember that report? 17 intelligence agencies agree that the Russians interfered and wanted to help Donald Trump. The report was nonsense. Yeah. The report was based largely on information from the dossier. What? So not only was the dossier used to spy on Trump, the fake PP tape dossier, but it was also used in an intelligence community assessment to then tarnish the incoming presidency of Donald Trump and said, hey, they won because the Russians helped them out. Yes, that's what I'm telling you. That's what's really going on. The great Congressman Devin Nunes, who's been on this from the start, calls the ICA the Obama dossier because like the PP tape dossier, it's fake too. They did an investigation into this. They are finding some really serious problems with the Obama dossier, known as the ICA. Maybe some of the intelligence used to conclude that the Russians wanted to help Trump, Joe, was manipulated. Oh, don't listen to me, though. Listen to Devin Nunes himself on Lou Dobbs's show, talking about this Senate Intel report and how he's really suspicious here. And ladies and gentlemen, keep in mind, the timing of this is awfully odd. Nunes starts talking about these declassified footnotes. All of this stuff's coming out. The dossier was fake. And now we get this report. Listen to Nunes on Dobbs' show last night.
What we found, Lou, is that the tradecraft was not up to snuff. And now the problem with Obama's dossier, with that intelligence community assessment, is it's either lies or omissions or both. So if the intelligence agencies had a plethora of information and didn't put it into an intelligence community assessment, how can it even be a true intelligence community assessment? So sometimes you just have to apply a little common sense to this. I don't know what happened in the Senate. You'll have to ask them. But we stand by our not only do we stand by what we found, but I would add this too, that one of our criminal referrals involves that intelligence community assessment, in that, whether or not intelligence was manipulated for political purposes. And, we've sent that to the Department of Justice now, a year ago.
All right. Producer Joe, can you please employ the Nunes translator?
Initiating Nunes translator, Den.
Thank you, sir. Of course, we need the Devin Nunes translator because Devin, obviously, Congressman Nunes, is limited in what he could say on television because he has some classified information. Based on a number of various sources, things I put together, some open source stuff, some sources who've given me some stuff, I like to translate what I think he's telling you. I don't know, but I think he's telling you. What he's telling you is this. He said two things. We think some of the information in the ICA was manipulated. And secondly, we made a criminal referral, meaning that manipulation of the information in the ICA, saying the Russians wanted to help Trump, Joe, may have been deliberately faked. Really? And he made another point. He said it was either lies, omissions, or both. What does he mean by that? Keep in mind what we're talking about. Don't lose the headline. Senate Intelligence Committee report. Yes, the ICA, they didn't use the dossier, and the Russians really wanted to help Trump. There's no evidence of that. None. It's all garbage stuff. He said at one point on there, too, that it was lies or omissions or both, meaning what? Well, Nunes, who was been on for years, way before Trump was even running for office, the holes we've had in gathering intelligence in Russia, Nunes is saying to you there, and I'm translating, if we knew that the Russians were trying to help Trump in the election, how come that only appeared after the election in a quickie report they just put together in a few weeks? Joseph, you get what I'm saying? So during the election, and in the 2 years, basically, the election went on, this extended election cycle, you had all this information about the Russians interfering and trying to help candidates. And then in 2016, you guys knew about the Russians trying to help Trump. This information was nowhere but in the dossier. Mm-hmm. You had this information. No one heard about it other than the dossier. It wasn't in official intelligence committee briefings or anything. Nunes was actually complaining about that. How come we don't know anything about Russia right now? And all of a sudden, Joe, after the election, Trump wins, and all this intel magically appears. Wow. Wow. You guys are so good. It magically appears, and maybe, Joe, on the manipulation and criminal referrals point, maybe the information that is magically delicious, like Lucky Charms, appears, maybe that's fake too, manipulated, and maybe attributed to people, fake information attributed to real people who are like, I didn't say that. Well, somebody said, Mr. Russian dude, you said that. Who's the somebody who said the Russian dude said that when they didn't? Oh. You all picking up what I'm putting down?
Oh, yeah.
Russian dude A said this. Okay, let's talk to Russian dude A. Russian dude A, did you say this? I didn't say that. What are you talking about? Well, it's in the ICA, attributed to you. Hey, how'd they get my name? I thought I was working for the intelligence community undercover. Crazy. How did that happen?
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud and follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.